Wala akong ano, nainis na lang ako dito sa ano. Sino nalo? Tapos ang bata?
Si Rhea, hindi ka na.
Ang bilis na ata ng board mo. Ano na yun? Tumaas yung views na ako. Kanina 15 lang. 18. Hindi mo yung kanina kasi hindi ko tapos. Tet, ito si George, oh. Tet. Tet. Tet! Ito si George, oh, 10K video siya, pero wala pang naman yung 195,000.
Kasi araw-araw siya nag-live eh.
Oo nga, pero yung views niya, all in all, 194,000.
Eh, yung malit naman ang news na
O
yun.
yun nga, hindi pa sa video.
Mm.
Kahit sa video siya. Nakainis to ng live chat. Ano siya? Ito yung itong phone na to. Tet! Tet! Ito yung itong phone na to. Nawawala yung live chat. Ano? Ano po? Wala na.
Anong phone ba yan?
Ano. Parang sabi natin.
About the S&P 500. Here are 5 facts every investor should know. 1. S&P is a merger of two companies, Standard and Poor. While Standard isn't a family name, Poor is. Don't keep this well off. 2. The S&P 500 comprises 5...
Ma'am Nena, mega love shoutout. You're back. Salamat, Ma'am Nena. Salamat sa pagsugod kay Joel. 600 pala ang WH ni Joel.
Sana all 600.
Donya Nena, mega love shoutout.
Sana all 600. Ako, pero balik pa lang.
Donya Nena, mega love shoutout. Juan Ria Maris to Maris, gumawa ka na Maris. Chef, mega love shoutout Chef for si Chef. 5 si Jack. 0 bosanin. Oh yeah. 21 to 30. 0. 21 to 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, meron na isa bosanin. Ate Jane 1. Girly 4. Wow, girly. 10 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jack 5. Wow, Jack. Ate Jane, shout out by Rose. Mamayla, may love shout out to you. Oh, dalawa na, boss Anin. Dalawa na, boss Anin, dalawa na. Ate Jane, shout out dyan.
Ano pala ang euro ngayon? Sir, 62? Sir? Sir? Yung euro pala 62 ngayon. Yung euro pala 62 ngayon.
Hmm?
Yung euro pala 62 ngayon.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi ng biyanan ko, pre.
Ano daw sinabi? Hindi ka dinig, Seth. Hindi ka dinig. Pinalitan ko pa yun ako. 4 na sana.
Wow, 7.
Yung 7. Dapat 4 na ako eh. Pinalitan ko pa yung number.
Si Joel. Oh, 92. 92.
Sino? 92,000 na?
92.
Aba. Sino yan? Joel Belen? Aba. Gawan mo ako na ganyan.
Gawa na naman.
Masagad ako mag-ganyan eh. Gusto ko yung tulad kay Girl.
Yan na to. 11,000 na yata. 150 na oh. Tumaas siya.
Alin?
113k na pala.
Alin?
Yung akin.
Alin? Ito mo?
Mm-mm.
Ilan na? Ilan na ito? Ilan na?
Minsan, ang naglalaro niya ay 2 player. Minsan din, 4 na players. Ang isang player ay makagis ng bola sa pader. Kapag ito ay tumalbog pabalik, sasalungin ito ng mga player at itagis ulit.
Carlos naman yung 100 so yun.
Noong panahon ng Matulis, paboritong laro nila ang alay at ang madalas silang kalaro ay ang mga isjet sa araw ng paglalaro ng Matulis sa 15. Nagkakataon din na nandoon ng Estrella sa katipunan ng Pilipinas at gusto ay nanood sa laro. Dahil sa narinig ng Estrella sa mga player ng Matulis sa 15, doon nagsimula ang pangalan ng larong ay alay.
Hindi sumali si Isabel.
Wala si Isabel. Baka busy.
Nandun sa'yo. Nandun sa ano mo.
Baka hindi
Dalawa ba ang
natin.
ano mo?
Hmm?
Dalawa ba ang...
Live. Nagawa daw siya ng tinapay. Di siya makabinggo.
Ha?
Nagawa daw siya ng tinapay.
Sino?
Isabel.
Kaya nag-ano siguro. Kasi makakatantos ko dun. Kasi ano, magmamasa-masa niya. Wow, galing na nito.
Huwag mo silang pagtawanan. Ikaw lang ang nakakuha ng 98. Silang lahat, perfect.
Galing na galing niya. Parang pang 180, oh. Ang galing na galing.
Pinubuli ako ng mga kapitbahay. Pukaraw akong kabayo.
Ano ba? Nakakainis naman. Ba't hindi mo sila sinipa?
Ang galing, oh. 480. Ang galing na ito. Sa atin sa atin.
Sa isang classroom.
Ito mo dito, 3 euro.
Ano naman?
Sir, kasi ito rin ako.
Ganun ba? I-advance mo?
Pagkatapos i-advance ang relo.
Oh, Juan! Saan ka pupunta?
Eh ano po? Time na! Sa isang taxi. David, pakinig sa radyo. Hindi ako maaaring
saan nililiyo. Sa panahon kasi ng kita, wala pang radio at musik. Brother, bakit mo pinahinto itong taxi? Bumaba ka na. Kasi sa panahon ng kupita, wala pang taxi. Magabang ka na lang dito ng camel. Bili mo ako ng bra. Ito ang bra mo. Oh, sige. Ano ba yan? 5,000 man. Ano? 5,000? Ang mahal naman. Huwag ka na lang ang bra. Ikaw, maliit naman ang dibdib mo. Aba, ganon. Kung maliit ang dibdib, hindi mo lang magsuot ng bra. Hindi pwede ang maliit, ba't ka nagsuot ng trip? Mare, anong nangyari sa'yo? Ba't parang galit na galit ka? Galit ako sa mister ko. Ha? Bakit, Mare? Iba na kasi ang ugali niya. Pag umaandar ang gana, lagi na lang akong binabugbog bago nilumansan. Mare, matitiis mo yan. Ako nga, mas masakit pang ginawa ng mister ko. Ha? Bakit, Mare? Binubugbog ka din? Oo, binubugbog din. Katapos niya akong bugbogin, kapitbahay namin ang nilumansan. Father, nagpapasala po ako, pero hindi ko po sinasadya. Bakit, sister? Ano ba ang nagawa mo? Nakahawak po ako ng ibon ng isang lalaki. Sister, kailangan mo maghugas ng kamay gamit itong holy water. Father, maaari ba itong lumot? Anong nangyari sa sabon na to? Bakit hindi bumula? Hindi mo pa binasa ang katawan mo. Hindi pwedeng basahin ang katawan ko, Apo. Bakit no? Apo, dapat natin sundin ang instruction sa pasulat sa lalagyan ng sabon or rice cake. Sinungaling ka. Sabi mo, bibig ka pa. Bakit kagabi? Inuwag lang. Kasalanan mo yan. Unang gabi ng ating kasal, nakikipag-inuman ka. Yan tuloy, nang malasing ka, doon ka pumasok sa kwarto ni Lola.
Nakita ni Juan kung pinagpit sa siya natutulog. Nilapitan niya ito.
Natutulog ka, ma'am? Wala. Ano ang ginagawa mo, ma'am? Pinausap ko lang ang Panginoon.
Kinabukasan, nakatulog si Juan sa gitna ng klase. Nakita siya ng pizza. Galit na galit ito at tinawag si Juan.
Juan, bakit ka natulog sa klase ko? Wala. Ano ba ang ginagawa mo? Pinausap ko lang ang Panginoon. Tapos, ano ang sinabi ng Panginoon sa'yo? Teacher, ang sabi ng Panginoon, hindi raw kayo nagkausap kahapon.
Sa isang museo, pumasok si Pedro. Lumasok ito ang pala. Nagyaan ng agad ito.
Ganito ba ang pinagyayabang niya?
Kasi yung cross-border na, unang picture pa lang ang pangit. Excuse me, sir. Hindi picture ang nasa harap mo. Salamin yan.
Sa isang paaralan ay mayroong magsusulit. Si Pedro ay palaging naninito sa kanyang katarina. Project ito upang siya ay pakumiyahin ang sagot.
Ma'am, si Pedro naninito.
Pedro, di mo ba alam na masakit ang manito?
Ma'am, wala akong pakialam kung sumakit ang mani mo. Dok, may problema ako. Bakit? Ano ang naramdaman mo? Tuwing alas 6 ng umaga, ako bumibili. Araw-araw. Wala akong nakitang problema. Normal lang pag-buli mo. Parang mayroon, doktor. Bakit? Saan ang problema? Doktor, tuwing alas 7 kasi, ang gising ko. Araw-araw.
Ay, sayang siya to. Nagpalit ako na ano, lumabas na yung number ko. Dapat, 25, 16, 20.
Ba't ka kasi?
Isang araw, ang parot ay sumigaw sa tatlong madrid.
Nakainis naman.
Ang mga madrid ay nagkakaapat dahil ang mga kulay na
Dapat di ako nagpalit. Ako na sana. No? Pinalitan ko eh.
ang parot ay sumigaw na naman. Ang mga madrid ay nagtataka ulit dahil pinagkit ang kulay ng mga panty nila. Kinabukasan, gustong maisakaw ng mga madrid ang parot kaya hindi sila nagsuot ng panty. Ang parot ay sumigaw na naman.
Pero ano ba yung Carlos Bingo mo? Tuloy-tuloy? Ay, may nanalo na si Girlie. Sayang. Nanalo na si Girlie. Lumabas na ba yung 14? Wala pa naman ah.
Meron na eh.
Ano? Kam na? Ito na?
Cottage, so dapat lagyan lahat.
Lasa. How was it?
Yes.
Do you like it? Last year, they go for $8.95, bro. Nakabasa ko na ibang ano.
Ang dami.
Oo. Kasi first time ko nakita yan sa live, hindi ko yun. Kaya pang ganyan na ano. Sana patingin, ano mo ilagay dyan, magtatapon yan. Ano ba ito? Lasagna naman to, hindi naman tusok. Ha? Ba't may ano? Lasagna to. Parang sarap ba?
Lasagna soup nga, tawag niyan.
At dahil hindi siya yung nakapake.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Masarap. Medyo maalat na. Pero masarap. Masarap. Masarap pa. Rosie, masarap pa. Rosie, masarap siya. Kaso,
Kain tayo lasagna soup. Kain tayo. Lasagna soup. Luto na anak ko. First time ko nakakain itong lasagna soup. Sarap pala. Betlog. Big shout out. Patamsak kay Betlog. May love shout out. Sabi na ba ni Betlog, patamsak naman.
hindi pala niya na lahat ng ano.
Yung
Hindi niya niluto lahat ng beef. Masarap siya. Maalat lang. Sarap. Ito pala yung ano. Sana siya.
Pedro, nanood ka ng contest kagabi? Oo, nanood ako. Sino ang nanalo sa contest, Pedro? Hindi ang nanalo Juan, pero magalit ang mga fans ng kapulisan. Bakit naman? Ganito kasi yan, Juan. Ang tema ng contest, kung sino ang may pinakamasakong underwear, ay siya nanalo. Bakit magalit ang mga fans ng kapulisan? Ganito ang nangyari, Juan. Nang tawagin ang unang pulistan, magpinsin ang plano ang isang Amerikana
Sarap.
at underwear at pinagis sa itaas nang mahulog sa lupa, halos hindi makita dahil sa dami ng mga langaw.
Para matigas pa yun. Kasi
Dahil doon, nagtulawan ang mga tao. Panalo na raw ang Amerikana.
para lang spaghetti.
Tawagin naman ang pangalalang
pero masarap.
magkakaroon ng isa at inupat ang underwear.
Saka ganyan naman lasagna. Parang spaghetti lang. Wala. Kanina na daw niya share. Sabi niya.
Ito isang tubo pa lang ako. Kinuha mo na ako.
Sa alin? Kanina.
Dahil doon, nagsigawan ulit ang mga fans ng Indonesia dahil panalo na na sila. Anong nangyari, Pedro? Bakit nanalo ang Pinay? May isa kasi sa mga fans ng Pinay ang humarap sa mga judges. Kailangan daw na suriin kung bakit nawala ang mga langaw. Baka daw may nagsabotahe, naglagay ng mga patay na hayop sa paligid. Dahil doon, tinignan ng mga judges ang paligid
At nakita nila na nasa paligid ng palang ang mga langaw. Dahil sa ginawa ng langaw, ipisisyon ng mga judges na ang panalo ay Pinoy. Nagtakip daw ng silong.
Thank you, Rosin.
Avocado. Diba? Kuha ka na ano. May matugas pa na ano. Okay. Ano? Hindi ko pa yan.
Thanks, Mama.
Thank you.
Gusto pa nila.
Hindi. Sila. Ano yun, kuya?
Mo?
Diba?
Kumain ka na.
Kumaka na. Oh. Ano ba yun, kuya? Eh, di ano yung naman natin balik na. Hindi naman namin maagat. Hindi, ano ba yun? Saan di ano mo kuya? Saka mawala ba yung passport mo? Dapat may kapit na yun. Tapos wala parang ano mo? Ang miscos mo. Wala mo lang. Yun na, wala na. Ano ka pa ng bowl? Nakalit ka pa. Ano, 600 na? Basta na, huwag na isalin-salin dyan kasi tumutulong. Hindi ko pa mag-ano dyan. Kung tubo ko na lang, tumutulong ko eh. Ba't ano yan? Akala ko yan yung live mo. Saan yan? Sa Carlos? Pwede ba yung dalawa-dalawa ang live?
Man, walang problema yun. Saan naman nakasabi na isang live lang.
Paano pag dalawang screen cast? Pwede?
Pwede. Basta magkaibang phone. Oo, pwede.
Eh, pwede pwedeng isa lang.
Pwede. Kaya ba 10 screencast gawin mo?
Pag sabay ko ay ano, ang Rose Belen. Wala na ba nag-e-entry dyan? Hindi ka na nasusulat.
Taxi driver ka na pala ngayon. So, kumusta nga pala ang una mong pamamasada? Pakuhan ka kasi dito sa edad. Okay lang bro. Akala ko, siniswerte ako kanina. Bakit bro? May sumakay kasi sa akin kanina. Magandang dalaga. Nang tanongin ko siya kung saan siya bababa.
Ay, pareho lang to. Pareho lang yan. Pareho lang yan.
Mahilig ko pa sa alamat.
Okay lang ba?
Alam mo ba kung ano yung alamat ng gwapo?
Hindi eh.
Yung kay Rebs na ilagay ko na yung entry niya ha. Kay Girly ilagay ko 10 entries. Girly 1, 2, 3. Hindi ko alam kung mabasa niyo pangalan. Basta 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sa dami na oh. Wala, madami ng entries. Ready? Ready? Ready na ba? Parang makaka-ilang. Kunyari, magbunot tayo, kunyari. Shuffle. Kunyari, magbunot tayo. Ang nabunot natin ay si Hijack Vlog. Hijack na bunot. Pinoy, Florida, may kalab shoutout. Kunyari, number 2. Kunyari lang ha. Lynn Channel. O, diba? Ito mga bunot natin. Kaya mag-entry kayo dyan ha. Entry. Ready na ba? Ready, ready. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, por el año felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, por ti año felicidad. Mag-try ako dalawang cast ang gagawin ko. Pagsabayin ko yung dalawang cast. Titingnan ko kung pwede. Pwede dalawang cast gawin. Pwede. Dalawang cast. Pagsabayin. Pag hindi pa monetize, no, mag-cast ka ng 3. Para ano, ang bilis. Mag-cast ka ng isa. Pagkatapos, hindi, pag naka 3 hours na, mag-cast ka naman ng isa. Pagka 3 hours na, mag-cast ka ng isa. Gawin mong 5 para dire-diretso ang WH. Pwede kaya yon? Pwede kaya yon? Pwede. Inaantok ang number ni Mira. Gisingin mo, Pretty Mira. Pwede sabay-sabay mag-cast, girly. 5 cast gawin. Dire-diretso, pwede. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you hear na 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 na.
Case, welcome to Doha. First time here. What are your first impressions?
I love it. It's beautiful. It's a little hot to me, but it's real pretty. I like it.
Now, it's also your first time in the region. Are you surprised to see so many case fans?
I was extremely that's exciting for my mother. To see it like that.
His government will be working up the means of purchasing his acquiescence. When it comes to companies which have dealings in both China and the US, they'll be hoping for greater trade links between the world's superpowers. But in reality, whoever wins this election, tensions are likely to remain, especially when it comes to the tech sector or any industry which has a remotely military application.
As you might remember, some of the most defining moments of Donald Trump's presidency last time were these astonishing meetings that he had with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, where the pair of them sat down to try and reach a deal to get North Korea to stop developing nuclear weapons. But despite all the fanfare, a deal was never reached. And so since then, the Biden administration has worked very closely with the government here in South Korea to try and counter the threat of North Korea and its weapons, because North Korea has continued to develop them and they are becoming more and more sophisticated. So Seoul and Washington have built up their military alliance. Now the thinking is that if Harris is elected, she will very much continue this approach, which is what the South Korean government wants. But if Donald Trump is elected, well, he might try again to negotiate with Kim Jong-un. And that could be good news for the North Koreans, because they might get a deal that they see is in some way favorable to them. I was speaking to a former North Korean diplomat who defected last year, and he was saying to me, the North Koreans want Donald Trump to be re-elected for exactly this reason. And so this makes the South Koreans very nervous.
The U.S. has always relied relied on political stability here in Japan, but that situation has dramatically changed in Tokyo when the LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party, which has ruled the country for most of its post-war era, was humiliated in the recent snap elections, its governing coalition losing its majority in parliament. Now the Prime Minister, Shigeru Ishiba, will have to look for other parties to form a new coalition, or he heads a minority government. This kind of political chaos is the last thing Washington needs as they head into the U.S. presidential elections, and as the situation gets more tense here in the region. The silver lining to all of this is that despite this uncertainty with politics in Japan, one thing remains unchanged, and that's Japan's relationship with the United States and its commitment to it. It was very telling that when Shigeru Ishiba made his post-election speech, essentially admitting defeat, he addressed that relationship, and he said, no matter who wins in this election, the Japan-U.S. relationship will remain strong. But whoever does win the election and get into the White House will have to deal with a very different political landscape here in Japan and an increasingly unstable East Asia.
Shona Khalil there. Well, you can watch live coverage as the results come in here on the BBC News channel or on BBC One, as well as on the iPlayer in the UK. Well, it all kicks off at 22:40 GMT on Tuesday. My colleagues Katrina Perry and Sumi Somaskunda, as well as Christian Fraser, Cassie Kay and our correspondents around the United States, will bring you a special programme live from Washington DC. Now, thousands of people have marched through central London, demanding tougher action to keep Britain's rivers and seas clean. Organisers say some 15,000 people turned out, calling for an immediate review of the water regulator Ofwat and for polluting industries to upgrade to greener infrastructure. Well, the government said it recognises people's anger and that there'd be a commission to look into the sector. Now, details about the royal family's finances, including rent received from the NHS, schools and the armed forces, have been revealed in a new documentary, Channel 4's Dispatches and the Sunday Times report. It says that the private estates of King Charles and Prince William have received millions of pounds in income from contracts with public bodies and charities. With more on that, here's our correspondent Neil Andrews. First of all, it says that both of those estates have struck lucrative deals with various public bodies, including the NHS. And it says that in the last year alone, the value of those deals came to almost £50 million. And it says it includes a £37 million agreement between the Duchy of Cornwall and the Ministry of Justice to leave staff in prison, and also an £11 million deal between the Duchy of Lancaster and a hospital trust to rent a warehouse. Now, according to the investigation, the details of those deals have not been handed to Parliament, so that does raise questions about... No, Angie there. I'm Eugenie Bidenal, and thanks for watching.
Hello there. Much of the country saw another cloudy day today. The best of the sunshine, which was limited across the north east of
Ultimira,
Scotland. But this upcoming
Isabel,
week will remain grey and
Gurley.
gloomy, thanks to high pressure, patchy fog and also some drizzle in places. What you will notice by the end of the week, we've got stronger southerly winds and they will turn mild, and hopefully we should start seeing a little bit more sunshine. But the benign weather continues. Thanks to this area of high pressure, blankets of cloud across the country overnight, spots of drizzle, some mist and fog too. Where we have clear skies there across the north of Scotland, temperatures will drop into low single digits, and that
Wow.
also allows some mist and fog patches to fall through too.
Apa million,
But
ha?
where we have cloud, generally 5 to 10 degrees.
Galing.
So we start Monday morning off on a grey gloomy note. Some early mist and
Hirap
fog.
makapamilyon.
Tends to lift into low cloud. Again, we could see some
Kailangan
sunshine
steady yung
towards
ano.
Scotland, maybe northern and western Wales, but I think the vast majority will not.
Baka magkamilyon yan si Girlie.
12 to 40 degrees. As we move through Monday night, little change. We hold on to a lot of cloud. So that blankets in the temperatures falling much below 6 to 10 Celsius. A few clear spells here and there. May temperatures fall into low single digits with some mist and fog forming. So as we head into Tuesday then, we've still got our area of high pressure. There's some subtle wind changes. We're starting to pick up more of the southerly as low pressure begins to squeeze up a bit from the west. So stronger winds, I think, through the Irish Sea to Northern Ireland. That may break up the clouds a bit for western Wales
perhaps into Northern Ireland, Western Scotland. Northern Scotland could see some sunshine as well, some shelter from the southerly breeze. I think in large parts, southern Scotland and most of England will stay rather grey once again, temperatures into the mid-teens. As we push towards the middle parts of the week, winds pick up further across western areas where we're starting to drag up some warmer air from the Azores. So that will be noticeable. Given any sunshine, it could be into the high teens. It's pretty warm for the time of year. But again, on Wednesday, most places will be rather grey and gloomy. But through the afternoon, with that breeze picking up from the south, we could see some sunny moments across northern and western areas. So 16 or 17 degrees, maybe 18 degrees in all the spots where we have to line for a pulse.
Just the incredible views, it's the hospitality and the kindness of the people here. I'm Christina McFarlane and this is The Next Big Trip.
Tonight on CNN.
I'm Warren Lieberman at the Pentagon, and this is CNN.
African Voices Changemakers, in association with Flow Unlimited.
Welcome to African Voices. I'm Larry Nadeau. Many artists have been able to ride the wave of popularity of Afrobeats. After all, they say a rising tide lifts all boats. But some want the world to know that their talents span across multiple genres. One of them is Ghanaian singer-songwriter King Promise. I sat down with him in August following his book.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wrote on social media that Russia had delivered over 900 bomb strikes, 30 missiles and nearly 500 Shahed drones across Ukraine in the past week. Meanwhile, the Russian state news agency reported that Russian air defenses destroyed 19 Ukrainian drones across at least 3 regions.
A crowd of angry residents threw mud at King Felipe and Queen Letizia, as well as government officials who were visiting the city of Paiporta on the outskirts of Valencia, one of the most heavily impacted areas by last week's deadly floods. Security officials were quick to open umbrellas to offer protection from the flying mud, while in the background people were screaming insults. The devastating floods, which killed at least 214 people, claimed the lives of at least 60 people in Paiporta. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez was the first to leave the scene, with Valencian President Carlos Mazón following shortly after. The king and the queen stayed behind, and the monarch was determined to hear out what people had to say. And after approximately half an hour of tension, they were escorted away by police officers. The pair were expected to travel to Chiva next, another heavily impacted town near the city of Valencia, but this trip was allegedly postponed.
Israeli naval forces have captured a senior Hezbollah operative in northern Lebanon. An Israeli military official said that IDF commandos captured a senior operative of Hezbollah and took him back to Israel for investigation by military intelligence.
The media outlet Axios cited Israeli sources as saying the captured man is called him Adam Haz and is allegedly responsible for Hezbollah's naval operations. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib McCarthy called on his foreign minister to file a complaint against Israel at the UN Security Council. Hezbollah and Israel have traded almost daily fire since the war in Gaza began in October last year. The year-long cross-border fighting, which has displaced tens of thousands on both sides of the border, erupted into full-blown war on the 1st of October when Israeli forces launched a ground invasion of southern Lebanon. 15,000 IDF soldiers are said to be based in the country. Polls have opened in Moldova, with voters choosing who will head the country in the second-round presidential election. During the first round of voting on the 20th of October, incumbent Maya Sandu led with 42% of the vote, but failed to win an outright majority, while Russia-friendly Alexander Stoyanoglu took 26%. The former Soviet Republic aspires to join the European Union, but is caught in a constant geopolitical tug-of-war between Moscow and the West. In an October referendum, joining the EU passed by a razor-thin majority of 50.3%, bolstered in the final hours of counting by the overseas vote. However, that result was overshadowed by allegations of a Moscow-backed vote buying scheme. Moldova is one of Europe's poorest countries, therefore watchdogs believe that some citizens could be influenced by electoral corruption for small sums of money.
An Iranian woman was arrested after she stood partially naked on a university campus in Iran. A video circulating online has attracted a lot of attention, with many praising the student for her courage, but many also fearing for her safety. Amnesty Iran said the woman removed her clothes to protest against the university's strict dress code law. The organization called for her immediate and unconditional release and demanded she must be granted access to her family and a lawyer. The university's public relations director denied that there had been a physical clash and claimed the woman suffers from a psychological disorder.
The US presidential elections are here, and Euronews' newsroom is ready. To find out what these votes mean for Europe, wake up with Euronews the morning after. Our correspondents are standing by.
Is Europe banking on a Kamala Harris victory? And is the EU prepared for a second Trump presidency? We'll see how Europe reacts.
From Paris to Warsaw, how will transatlantic relations evolve with Harris in power? And will a Trump victory involve the European far right?
What will the vote in the US mean for our defense and security here in Europe and the rest of the world? What will a Trump or Harris win mean for Europe's economy? And how will the markets react? We'll be across it.
And what is the vibe in Washington, D.C.? I'll be right by the White House, bringing you the word from the ground.
Don't miss it. America Votes. Europe is watching our live
Tuesday.
morning news and analysis show here on Euronews.
Sunny. Salamat Ma'am Nina Sahara. Honey.
From the Eurozone's diverse economies to its emerging startups, get the latest news and analysis on Europe's economy, business and markets. See the big picture. Euronews Business.
The global weather forecast and daily air quality index. Connect to euronews.com/weather.
Hello there and welcome to Brussels, my love, Euronews' weekly European politics programme with me, Maeve McMahon. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Coming up, let's talk about Georgia, the country of just under 4 million people, nestled between Europe and Asia, went to the polls last week. And the result is nebulous. On paper, the winners were Georgian Dream, the National Conservatives who admire the Kremlin. But on the sidelines are the pro-European opposition, who contest the results and demand a recount. We take a closer look and get reactions from Brussels. And 1 year after presenting her growth plan to the Western Balkans, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen toured the region. From Podgorica to Skopje, Tirana to Sarajevo, Pristina to Belgrade, she was clear. EU enlargement is a top priority and Montenegro could join by 28. We ask if Brussels will ever make good on these promises and if local people are getting fed up in the waiting room. A warm welcome to our guests this weekend. Dinatine Achteliani, research fellow with SEPS. Thanks for having me. Great to see you. Iliana Johnny, research analyst with Carnegie Europe. Hello. And Fiona Lavrajashvili from the Wilfred Martin Centres. Lovely to have you all. Thank you so much for being here. Just as always, let's just tell our viewers why everyone is talking about Georgia.
No to war, vote for peace. The slogan of the pro-Kremlin Georgian Dream Party that won last weekend's parliamentary elections. And although they took place 4,000 kilometers away, they were closely watched from Brussels.
Georgians, like all Europeans, must be the masters of their own destiny.
A mission by the OECD said the votes were well organized, but cited pressure on voters, including cases of intimidation, coercion, and vote buying. Georgians who want to follow the European dream, and not a national one, took to the streets this week, marching outside the Georgian parliament. They say the vote was stolen. But with Georgia's EU enlargement talks on ice and little EU influence in the region, their future is unclear.
So there you go. The success of the Georgian dream, perhaps a bit of a nightmare or headache here for officials in Brussels. What has the reaction been, Tintin?
So far, the reactions have been that High Representative Joseph Borrell, jointly together with the European Commission and Charles Michel, they have been calling for the investigation. My concern is the investigations are called by the Georgian institutions, and as an expert following the situation, I'm just really worried to what extent these investigations will really deliver any irregularities, because Georgian institutions currently are very much under the thumb of the European dream. They have really, institutions, and the currently Central Election Commission actually is not fully in line of the OSCE and all the recommendations. So I think, let's see what the investigations will deliver.
Is anyone listening, Fiona, to these calls from Brussels for thorough investigations?
Well, I wish I could have better this year, because unfortunately Georgia's elections do not really represent fair and transparent elections according to the international observation missions. However, the problem here is, as you said, is very reason, because Georgian government, and I have my doubts that they will do to investigate with the help of the international assessment organizations. And frankly, there is an issue here, because in practice we do not have any mechanism that will investigate this kind of frauds. And in this respect, I think that US partners, together with the EU, but also in relation and in cooperation with Georgian partners, they have to find a solution. But again, I have my doubts the Georgian government will be listening to Brussels in this respect. And this will have its implications, negative implications on Georgia's European aspirations.
And we heard from Washington, D.C. as well, the State Secretary of State, Antony Blinken as well, calling for a thorough investigation.
Even Joe Biden.
Yes, they have. And they're obviously very busy this week, but they took time to make sure that they made this message very clear. What is your view on all of this?
Actually, what I find quite worrisome is also the fact that Viktor Orban traveled to Georgia to congratulate on the election results. And what I see is kind of an internationalization of the liberals, which historically, this internationalization has been kind of a trait of the left. However, despite fears of natural
deployment of this technology, the science in Australia, which really
threw the drama, shot the video, took him to the ends. It was a big vibe. But then when he came out
isn't true after that. But let's not have a debate about the abortion issue right now. But I just want to keep you talking about what you think Donald Trump will do for women specifically.
Well, I'll tell you what he'll protect. We're going to have. He's going to protect. He is going to protect the country. He is going to protect the schools. He is going to do what he can to get the teaching of the transgender agenda out of schools. That's something that's a very sensitive subject with many women, what's being taught in the school systems, and that is something that is a key component when it comes to women. Women shouldn't necessarily be so separated from men when it comes to voting. We have the same values, the same concerns as men do. So it's not just a matter of a female voter. Yes, we've got strong women out there. I was with a wonderful group of strong women last night. I was with Laura Trump. I was with Kristi Noem, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, a number of people who are clearly strong women who support Donald Trump for all the same reasons any man would support Donald Trump.
Melanie, I'm sorry to move you on. We are short on time. I'm not need to hear from Gloria. Gloria, what do you say to that about women voting for Donald Trump? What does Harris offer women that Donald Trump doesn't, for example? And are they so separate after all?
Well, I think, first of all, America is built on the notion of separation of church and state. And I feel like there's a group of people, like we Christians, are making this about Christianity. I mean, if we look at the Constitution, any group of people who identify as a group is supposed to be protected by the law. And I feel when it comes to abortion right, it's the woman's right to choose. Most people don't do abortion because they just want to do it. Some of them have a lot of health issues that need to be addressed. And so I feel that we using religion as part of this discussion is very sad. I know a lot of women are voting for Kamala Harris because she's giving us freedom to choose, freedom to be ourselves. 2024, we can't go back. And so I feel strongly about a lot of women in Georgia following Kamala Harris for this reason.
Okay, without getting into any further debates about specific issues, both of you, I wanted to ask the same thing. Both of you seem to be very convinced about the candidate you're voting for. You feel very strongly about it. Do you think voters who are voting Democrat or voting Republican can still be friends, or is the situation too polarised at the moment? Melanie, to you first of all.
Yes, I do believe that we can be friends. That is something that we are able to talk with one another. I will say it is definitely very polarizing. I also want to say that I'm a lifelong Georgian. I have lived in the state my entire life, and I've worked in the political arena for 35 years. I have a very strong opinion about what's going on because I'm actively involved with it, or I have been actively involved with it for such a long time. I believe that we are looking at numbers right now coming out of the state of Georgia where we've got almost 4 times what happened in the 2020 election. So when I'm talking about the number of people that are coming to the polls already, the number of people who have already voted that are identified as Republican voters, we're looking at a strong turn right now. It's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of statistics.
Melanie, thank you. Gloria, just a final thought from you in 30 seconds or so. Can Republicans and Democrats still get along in this America?
Yes, I believe we can get along, and I think Kamala Harris has already stepped up to put it out there that she's going to be the president for all. Regardless of who wins, this is America. Always come together. And I think she's going to step up and try and bring a lot of people to the table and let them understand, what the issues are. She's promised to bring a lot of Republicans to her cabinet, and I think it's a great move on her part because it's going to be an inclusive cabinet. And in Georgia, I see a lot of, as divided as we are, we still believe in one thing. This is a democracy. And on Tuesday, we're going to vote whoever the leader is. Thank you.
We must leave it there. Gloria Jimoh, Melanie Colliers, we really appreciate your time, both women joining us from Georgia. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us, both of you. Now to Spain, there is a warning of more heavy rain for Valencia, the region already suffering under heavy flooding, which officials now say killed 217 people. The country's weather agency has issued a red weather warning, meaning up to 90 millimetres of rain is possible in just 1 hour. Warnings are in place for the cities of Alzira, Cullera and Gandia. The king, the queen and the prime minister were heckled as they arrived in Paiporta, the town which has suffered particularly badly in the flash flooding with more than 60 deaths there alone.
The King's bodyguards and police were overwhelmed by a surge of protesters hurling insults and screaming. The King says he understands anger and frustration of flood victims, and Europe correspondent Mark Lowen has more.
Pipewater, ground zero of the carnage. More than 60 people died here when the mud and water enveloped the Valencian suburb, devastating it. Into the heart of darkness today came Spain's King and Queen, Prime Minister, and the regional president accused of failing to warn of the floods in advance out of a desperately slow response. The chant, murderer. The anger grows. A protester attacks our camera. And then they hurl what they can find from the torrents below.
This is just unprecedented. People picking up mud, throwing it at the king. The depth of the anger here, the fury is just extraordinary to see.
King Felipe comforts some and is then led away, shielded from the crowd. His wife's face bearing a residue of mud. We're just 16, he says. We are helping and the leaders do nothing. People are still dying. I can't stand this anymore. I have no strength left. They left us to die, she tells me. When we needed them, they weren't here. We've lost everything. Our businesses, our homes, our dreams. And others have lost family, like Rafa, who owned a print shop with his two brothers, now a wreck. As the waters rose, his brother Tony stayed inside to take refuge. Tony's body was found a street away, his three sons now without a father.
We are outraged. This is a great country, but with disgusting, incompetent leaders. I'm so angry I can't talk anymore. I don't have the strength to speak about my brother. He was a really good person. I have no more words. I'm sorry.
It is, frankly, hard to take in the apocalyptic scale of this destruction. To get Pipewater alone back on its feet, the homeless rehoused in shelter, damage reimbursed, could take months. But then repeat that for mile after mile of this stricken region.
Spain, stunned, traumatized, and where rage is tipping over, only eased by the solidarity of the people. Today, the spark was ignited here, but as the number of dead rises further and the depth of loss becomes deeper, this country is at a delicate moment. Mark Lowen, BBC News, Valencia.
To the Middle East now, and health officials in Gaza say fresh Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 31 people. The attacks come as the UN's Children's Agency condemned the killing of 50 children in Gaza. UNICEF's director Catherine Russell said it was another example of the grave consequences of indiscriminate strikes on civilians. She said the entire population of northern Gaza was at imminent risk of death from disease, famine and ongoing bombardments. Meanwhile, Lebanese media say the Israeli Air Force has launched several strikes on the town of Duris in the eastern Baalbek region. The military had issued an evacuation order for residents saying it would attack Hezbollah targets there. Lebanon's health ministry also says 3 people were killed, 9 others injured in an Israeli strike on the southern city of Sidon, adding there was no evacuation warning beforehand. Police in Scotland say they've received a non-recent allegation of sexual assault made against Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond, who died last month. In 2020, Mr Salmond was cleared of 13 sexual offence charges, including attempted rape. His Labour Party said the new allegation was a smear. Let's speak to Scotland correspondent Katrina Benton. And Katrina, tell us what's about today.
Well, as you said, Alex Salmond died last month.
Painit mo na naman yan.
In North Macedonia,
Ubusin mo na para hindi na mainit.
in his home village of Slippen was last week. And today we've had interviews with Scotland. Now, Alex Salmond was First Minister of Scotland from 2007 to 2014. He left the Scottish National Party in 2018 after a number of allegations of sexual misconduct came to light. And he won a legal case against the Scottish Government over its mishandling of the complaints.
Now, in 2020, he was cleared of 13 sexual offence charges, including attempted rape. Now, Police Scotland has said that they have received a separate report of a non-recent sexual assault, and the information is being assessed. The Herald on Sunday newspaper also reported that up to 6 women approached the SNP 2 years ago to complain about Mr. Salmond. And what has the reaction been? Well, the SNP has told us today that its disciplinary processes could only be invoked against current party members. After he left the SNP, Mr. Salmond went on to set up and lead the pro-independence Alba Party. Now, the Alba Party General Secretary has spoken today. He's called Chris McAleny, and he said the allegations are smears and called for Mr. Salmond to be allowed to rest in peace.
Katrina, thank you very much. Katrina Ranton in Scotland. Now, let's just remind you that you can watch live coverage of all the US election results here on BBC News. It is the final couple of days before America goes to
I can't perceive them like that.
The master bedroom.
Take a bit of time here to get it right. I'm very sharply after that.
In the UK,
Dude, I just try to be myself, honestly.
Your tattoo says believe. Tell me the story of that.
Yeah, but that's no motto in life. Yeah, like from the beginning, Kilby's been shouting this in my head, and he's the very first person. So
really showcase what the possibilities are and the women with hope.
And I was just looking at the photo that you mentioned.
People here tell us they have no hope. They feel helpless and abandoned. Down the road, there's no time for distractions. A massive search operation at the region's biggest shopping centre. They're pumping out the underground car park, which was swamped when the floods came in. 2 floors down, hundreds of cars, and a grim question: how many bodies are within them? Emergency teams have brought robots, kayaks, and scuba divers. But this is perilous, dangerous work in filthy, dark water.
The aftermath of these floods has been dominated by images of devastation, of ruined towns and shattered lives. But what's happening in that underground car park is something more focused and, in a way, more sinister. Because there is a feeling here that what they'll discover when that water is pumped out will be very bad. We just don't know how bad it could be.
Christina's role is to check cars for bodies. She accuses the government of playing down the number of deaths.
It's not even true. Like, we're in the point that we're counting in hundreds. My mom's still helping the army. She's a doctor. And she was like helping, counting bodies and everything. In 6 hours, they got 80 people.
Whatever the number, this is a horrific, agonising catastrophe for Spain. The pain rolls on. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Aldaya, Valencia.
This is the News Hour coming up. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris blitz through several swing states as the U.S. election campaign reaches fever pitch. But are there messages getting through to voters? We'll ask one Republican strategist.
The little unstoppables. There it is. The whoosh of patchy fog.
High pressure continuing.
It's a full.
This is lovely. This is
Hi Fashion TV, I'm Farma Ble. Welcome to my show.
people.
Miss Christina, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of
Western Wales.
Ariel Platinum, rated for the EU, it's a problem. Also for
And that's the thing.
There's intro room with different lenses. Let's go out front.
Aaron Burnett out.
the more new species we can find, the greater the justification to try and protect places like Norway. I'm not going to be a para astronaut. I want to be an astronaut, and I happen to have a physical disability.
Angelina Bay remembers it here. Before the invasion, there was that's you, 10 years earlier.
Sorry, dude, this is so difficult. It's not the most difficult I've ever seen.
Inspiring short films from the BBC.
It's always interesting when you meet someone like you thinking, right, what am I going to learn about Al Pacino from New Zealand? Your phone cover. Can you show this, please, and explain the story? Because of all the things in the world that I thought Al Pacino would have on his phone cover, I was not expecting Shrek.
Who would expect from Shrek?
Can you explain why you Shrek it?
My youngest daughter was a little younger a few years ago, and she decided, and she was big on phone braces for a while there, so she said, "Can I get phone back?" So I gave her my phone. She came back, and she had this on it. So I just laughed, you know, she said, "It's Shrek, Dad." I said, "Shrek? Wow. Okay, babe, I'll hold on to it."
Hello, I'm Karen Giannoni. This is BBC News, the headlines. Time is running out for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump as they make last-minute appeals to voters in swing states with 2 days until the US election. Chance of murderer as Spain's monarchs and Prime Minister visit the flood-ravaged Valencia region where mud is thrown at the King and Queen. Spain's National Weather Agency has issued a red weather alert for parts of southern Valencia for the next few hours. Officials say at least 217 people have died. Here in the UK, Police Scotland have received a new allegation of a sexual assault against the former First Minister Alex Salmond, who died suddenly of a heart attack last month.
BBC News Cape Verdean rapper Gadalombo reporting for Africa Eyes searches for an alleged drug trafficker known as Fox as he investigates Highway 10, a transatlantic drug smuggling route from South America to Europe via West Africa, finding Mr. Fox.
Cape Verde, San Vicente, wow.
There is a ship at the bottom of this harbor that was once used by an organized crime. There is no name on the ship, but I can identify it from the serial number. It's called The Rich Harvest, and we made news headlines here in 2017.
Uma tonelada de cocaína apreendida pela DJ no iate em São Vicente. Cada quilo suposto parar ao mercado seria vendido a 50 mil. Os 3 brasileiros e o francês detidos nesta operação da Polícia Judiciária estão aqui nas instalações da PJ.
My name is Gadalomba. I'm a rapper from Cape Verde. Ever since the ship arrived in my island, I've been captivated by the story. And I found there is so much more to it than I could ever imagine. The owner of the boat, the alleged mastermind of the drug trafficking operation, is yet to face justice. His name is George Soul, known by his nickname, Fox. Now I'm going searching for him, following his trail across the continent. Because it's to hopefully find out his side of the story. Yeah, I can see him now. My island is right in the middle of Atlantic, or a little paradise on Earth, with all year-round sun and beautiful beaches. But the location of Cape Verde has always been a blessing and a curse. Its position between South America and Europe makes Cape Verde a hub for drug traffickers. The trafficker's route is known as Highway 10, named after the 10th parallel north, a circle of latitude which passes by Cape Verde.
Wow, naka-30 si Lola. Si Lola na lang talaga ang i-live ko kay naka-30 pa. 30. Naka-30 siya. Puro na lang video ka. Videohan mo ako, videohan mo ako.
Dali!
Ikaw magulo. Dali, puro na si Mira. Ikaw magulo. Puro na si Ate Jen. Puro na si Mira. Puro na si Ma'am Nena. Huwag mo akong puruhin eh. Pupuruhin daw ako. Pupuruhin daw ako ni Mayora.
Because even though this is me today, a celebrity on the red carpet, a lot of people don't know my story. I was a regular cocaine user. It's sad the first time I used drugs. It's very sad. I was 9 years old. It's messed up what happened. Me and a friend of mine, my brother to today, with somebody that was a guard at his house, we were sitting in a garage in the afternoon like this. He gave me what he had. The action was a monster. Why would you pass narcotics to a 9-year-old kid, man? Why, bro? It's not
So.
From there on, I fell in love with cocaine. I was a slave for drugs. I was a slave. And the sad part of it, it's how I made anything, anybody that loves me, become a slave as well. When I was a user, it was simple to buy cocaine. But today, it's even easier. I even found this graffiti on one street advertising drugs for sale. Of course, the simplest way to prevent cocaine getting into Cape Verde is at the border. I met with a police officer, supervised the search of the rich harvest. He wanted to film him anonymously because he's still a reprisal from organized crime groups. But he agrees to talk me through what happened that day. Tell me about the search. How hard was it?
Lembro-me de ter de alguns compartimentos uma cama, debaixo da cama havia poço de água, e eu estava chegar aí precisamente e retirando a cama, então, muita força da água e então fomos descendo e encontramos então de facto um compartimento
Wow, Ma'am Nina.
no total foram 1063 pacotes, que diria ter um peso bruto de
Game over, Ma'am Nina. Wow.
57 quilos salvo.
What did the crew tell you?
Isso não tem nada a ver comigo, seria jogar a bola.
This is the Brazilian crew who sailed the rich harbors. Each of them was sentenced to 10 years in this Cape Verde prison. Their convictions were later overturned and the case dismissed. It was these sailors who claimed that a British man, Fox, was responsible. I want to speak to Fox, but first I need to find out exactly what happened from the crew who sailed the rich harbors. I'm pinning up with BBC Brazil journalist Christian Kiss, who has been following an investigation by the Brazilian authorities into the rich harvest and tracking down the Brazilian crew.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. I'm doing fine. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So this is Danielle, one of the sailors,
Okay.
and these are Danielle and Rodrigo, two sailors.
Rodrigo Dantas was only 24 when he joined the crew of the Rich Harvest, having seen a job advert on Facebook. Like all the crew, he had no idea there were drugs on board the boat.
Comando interno. O comando externo ainda não botou a roda de leme.
The position was unpaid, but Rodrigo's videos show how excited he was for the opportunity of a lifetime to sail across the Atlantic and fulfill his goal of becoming a professional sailor. Rodrigo agrees to meet to tell us his story. As a sailor, what were your dreams?
Eu acho que todo velejador tem sonhos de fazer grandes travessias. E por sorte, ou não sei, eu vi o anúncio no dia que ele foi anunciado. Assim, ele me mandou e eu falei, cara, esse anúncio foi feito hoje. E olha que coincidência, o barco está em Salvador e vai para Açores, ou era Madeira, era em Portugal. E que eu tinha todos os pré-requisitos para participar, que era ter alguma experiência na vela e ter a habilitação internacional que eu havia feito aqui no Brasil. E no dia seguinte eles me deram a resposta e disse que eu estava dentro da tripulação. Vou atravessar o Oceano Atlântico. Então quando a gente chegou, fomos apresentados ao Fox. Era um cara jovem na época, se não me engano, ele tinha 33 anos, super jovem, super educado, super sorridente, alegre, ficou super feliz de conhecer a gente e super empolgado de mostrar o barco pra gente. Eu tive uma boa impressão dele.
Fox appears happy and relaxed. The only one who Brazilian police believe knows the boat's secret. 1 ton of cocaine is hidden under the crew's beds.
Assim que ele se apresentou pra gente, ele se apresentou com o nome dele, George Soule, mas pode me chamar de Fox. Foi a primeira coisa que ele falou. Call me Fox. Eu nunca esqueço disso.
Fox, Rodrigo, and the rest of the crew departed the next day.
Sempre louco com mágicos. Graças a Deus estamos chegando no Natal.
Unaware that the police were monitoring their every move.
Chegando aí, canal de Natal.
Fox sailed the rich harvest up the coast to Natal. This would be their last port before the Atlantic crossing began.
Daniel?
Hello.
We've come to meet Daniel Guerra, one of the other crew members, at the Natal Yacht Club, where the rich harvest stopped. We have some pictures, maybe you recognize it. Let's see. This is familiar to you?
Yes.
The photos of Fox were taken by undercover Brazilian police here in Natal. Let's check this one out. This is the best one.
Yeah. I remember the day, the Fox, they went to some store to buy some tubes. I was waiting the boat. When they arrived, I saw two guys there in the restaurant. They took the picture from the glass, you know. We saw this picture first time when we were in the jail in Cape Verde.
5 days after the photos were taken, Fox flew back to the UK, claiming he had to attend a friend's wedding.
This flicks so nice.
A few days later, the rich harvest set sail for Europe. Fox was already back in the UK, so a new captain was hired to steer the boat. According to Brazilian police, he was also completely unaware of the cocaine hidden on board. At first, the journey went well. Then in the middle of the Atlantic, the ship's engine broke down. The crew had no option. They had to stop in Cape Verde for repairs. And in a matter of hours, Rodrigo and Daniel's world came crashing down.
Uma tonelada de cocaína apreendida pela PJ no iate em São Vicente.
Did you know how much trouble you were in?
Claro. Não é brincadeira, uma tonelada de cocaína embaixo da cama, né?
How did you feel when the judge gave you 10 years?
Uau! Não foi nada fácil. Não foi nada fácil escutar 10 anos. Eu acho o quê? Tipo, não acreditando o quê? 10 anos? No início eu olhei para trás, né? Comecei a chorar, as famílias chorar. Foi triste. Foi bem triste. Bem frustrante. Talvez tenha consequências na minha vida até hoje. De não acreditar nas pessoas. Foi nesse dia. Desculpa. Nesse dia eu deixei de acreditar nas pessoas. Nesse dia eu só acredito na natureza e em mim. Desculpa.
If you met a Fox right now, what would you tell him?
Eu acho que muitas pessoas teriam uma reação violenta. Eu sou violento, eu sou tranquilo. Mas eu realmente não sei o que eu faria se eu visse ele na minha vida. E eu espero que ele pague pelo que ele fez, de uma forma ou de outra. Que a justiça vai chegar para ele.
Do you know where he is?
Quando eu regressei ao Brasil, depois disso eu até tentei procurar nas redes sociais, né, se encontrar o Fox. E eu, quando consegui achar, não conseguia encontrar, porque é como se fosse bloqueado, sabe? Então eu não conseguia acesso.
We've managed to find Fox's Instagram account. It's a gold mine of information. If we can figure out where he posted from in the past, we'll be able to predict where he goes next. I can see that over the years he has traveled a lot. There are posts tagged in Gibraltar, but also Botswana, the Virgin Islands, Spain, Berlin, and the Netherlands. But most of the posts are from the United Kingdom, and we already know Fox is a British citizen. So it's time for us to continue our search in the UK. Christine and I are teaming up with a British journalist, a guy called Colin Freeman.
Nice to see you.
How you doing, Colin? Colin has written about Cape Verde before, and he's been searching for fox for the last 5 years. He says he has some new information.
Can I get you guys some tea or coffee, anything to drink?
Tea? Tea as well. Yeah. So Colin, it's been a couple of years, right? You're still working on the story. Why is that?
Well, it fascinated me, the Chagas story, because it's just one of those sort of strange, intriguing cases, really, where somebody, has had the finger pointed at them, but never seems to have actually faced any court over it.
Colin plays an audio recording by a man called Robert Del Boss. Del Boss was convicted of marijuana trafficking in the 1980s. He sent the rich harvest down to Brazil with Fox back in 2016. Del Boss played no part in the cocaine trafficking and was acquitted by Brazilian authorities in 2021.
So he was a stupid man, he was greedy. He got offered €3 million greedy job, which is like 10% of the price of the beer. He got offered $3 million to do it.
So he was expecting to make a $3 million off of it?
Apparently, yeah. Apparently that was the Euro-Link transatlantic trafficking operation.
Spent $500,000 on the boat, and instead of tracking the crew properly and getting himself a professional smuggling crew, he hired 400 guys and thought he could put like $2.5 million in his pocket. What are you going to do? This is completely beyond the pale.
It seems, from what Del was saying there, that Fox was accusing Fox of cutting corners, or essentially hiring an innocent crew to do the job unwittingly, rather than hiring a professional team of smugglers, which he could have done with some of the $3 million that he was urging to get paid for the job. And according to Del, even in the world of drug trafficking, there are some do's and don'ts, some ethics, as it were. You should not be using innocent people as mules. That's just not on in this world.
Where is George Shaw now? He's in England. As far as I know, he's in Japan.
We take our search for Fox online again and try our public records database for business in the UK. When we enter the name George Soul into this database, 7 different UK addresses come up. All of these addresses are in a city called Norwich to the east of London. And we already know Fox, or George Soul, has connections to Norwich from some of his Instagram posts. But where exactly can we find him? A new search combining his name with his business addresses leads us to a profile page for Fox on the website of a professional networking group. Scrolling through the page, we find that the members meet every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. at a hotel on the outskirts of the city. And on their searches, we see that Fox
Sabi ko na nga eh.
This is a great lead, and that's where we're going next.
Norwich.
Maybe just one of us should go. Not to scare him off, but also for safety reasons. Like if something happens, it's easier if just one of us has to come back to the van.
Okay, yeah. Well, look, if you're way to go, if you decide to try and chase me away, then I can make a quick exit real quick.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Our plan is to wait until Fox arrives. Then when he's walking to the reception, we will intercept him and ask him a few questions.
So we're still waiting here. There's no sign of Sol yet. It's about 6:45 in the morning. The business meeting is due to start at 7. pumping that can be used internal. There's plenty of comings and goings, so let's just hope the Fox turns up.
Jules, our spotter, is positioned in a vehicle by the entrance to the car park, watching all the cars arriving. We are communicating with each other on an open phone line.
Jules, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, what time does it normally get here?
Now, he's 2 minutes late.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. It feels a bit nerve-wracking. There's a lot riding on this. With doorsteps, the thing is you only get one chance at them.
Stand by. Car approaching. Yes. His car is here.
Okay.
Turning into the hotel now.
He's getting out of the car, and so is the dog.
Excuse me, from the BBC. Just wondering the rich harvest. No. Can you explain why more than a ton of cocaine was found on board it back in 2017? Brazilian police say you are an international drug trafficker. Well, I'm not. And that you masterminded this operation to put a ton of cocaine on the rich harvest boat. And listen, I'm not doing it. So I'm not here. There were 4 sailors, innocent sailors, who went to prison as a result of the drugs that were found on that boat. Do you accept that that was your fault? You're walking away. Is that what you do if trouble takes place? Have you got any remorse over that? Would you consider going back to Brazil? There's a case to answer there, isn't there? Oh, sorry, Karen, we're here to listen to you. If you want to, you've probably got your own version of events here. If you want to give us your side of the story, you're welcome to, yeah? Right, it's driving off.
I think we always should have both sides of the story, but unfortunately, we wrote to George Soule to ask if he had anything else to say about the allegations contained in this film. However, we received no reply. We asked the National Crime Agency in the UK if they are aware of George Soule and the crime the Brazil police suspect him of. The NCA said if Brazil chooses to pursue extradition from the UK, they would need to send a full extradition request to the Home Office as the central authority. There is currently no warrant in place to arrest George Soule, and we are not aware of any offenses he may have committed in the UK. Back in Cape Verde, I know the war against drugs has no ends. My country will never be free from the scourge of cocaine until people like Fox are fully investigated. Justice must be done. And if he's found to be guilty, then he must take responsibility for his actions.
Hello there. We've got a surge of warmth and humidity moving off the Gulf of Mexico into the central southern plains of the US and an area of low pressure which is enhancing some heavy thundery downpours over the next few days. Got a few warnings in force here for heavy rain and risk of localised flooding. But high pressure holds on across the eastern seaboard, so here it'll stay settled and we'll see a surge of warmth pushing up towards New England and southeast Canada. But it stays unsettled, cool and windy for the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia for the next few days. Some wet weather also affecting large parts of South America in towards southeast Brazil and also northeast Argentina. These weather fronts could bring some torrential downpours throughout Monday and Tuesday. High pressure brings a lot of dry and settled weather across most of the European continent, apart from some low cloud and drizzle where it'll be cool in the northeast. We still have a few heavy thunderstorms across Iberia, but nothing what we've experienced over the past week here. North Africa mainly dry for Tuesday. It's central areas which will see the heavy thundery downpours and some wet weather slowly pulling away from South Africa. It means temperatures will start to rise in Cape Town as we pick up an interior wind. Stays unsettled through Turkey, the Caucasus, around the Caspian Sea. A few showers dotted around northern Saudi and into northwest Iran, but most of it at least will be dry and settled around the middle part of the week. A lot of dry weather as well, further smog problems, central northern India. Few showers likely to break out towards the south, but even here, it'll be very hit and miss. Most places will stay dry. Threatening cloud and rain in towards the northwest Pacific. Tropical storm developments getting closer to the northeast of Luzon. However, there will be lots of thundery downpours generally across Indonesia and Malaysia. Dry, settled, sunny for southern and eastern China. Hot into central northern Australia, into the low 40s for Alice Springs. Few thundery downpours into the southeast of Australia. Wet weather affecting New Zealand for Tuesday and Wednesday. Take care.
Live from London, this is BBC News. Time is running out for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump as they make last-minute appeals to voters in swing states with 2 days to go until the US election. We'll hear from our correspondents in the states in North Carolina and Wisconsin. Chants of murderer, murderer, as Spain's monarchs and Prime Minister visit the flood-ravaged Valencia region where mud is thrown at the King and Queen. Spain's National Weather Agency issues a red weather alert for parts of southern Valencia for the next few hours. Officials say at least 217 people have died. And here in the UK, Police Scotland receive a new allegation of a sexual assault against the former First Minister Alex Salmond, who died suddenly of a heart attack last month.
Alex Salmond died of a heart attack just last month. This is BBC News. This is BBC News. Ngayong nagbingo, November 3, ay wala si Angge, hindi nakakyat at walang humingi ng hagdan. According to the source, nag-mall-mall lang si Angge dahil nabukya sa kaskas.
And I come today with a message of hope for all Americans with your vote on Tuesday. I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of massive numbers of criminals coming into our country. Thank you very much, Kamala and Joe. And I will bring back the American dream, and we'll bring it back stronger than ever before. But this is all you need to know. Kamala broke it, and we will fix it, and we're going to fix it fast.
Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has been in Detroit, Michigan, speaking to a church congregation at their Sunday service.
Prophet Jeremiah wrote, "For I know the plans I have for you, they are the plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." Church, God has a plan for us.
Sa akong channel, fight lang. Sige, live lang ng live. Si Lola lang ang magsasagip sa'yo.
And bring us
Yan, 13 views ka na. 13 viewers ka na, Carlos. Ay, si Joel Benel. Kapit lang kay Lola.
Kapit lang, Lola.
Polls are still showing it is an incredibly tight race, but one new poll of voters in Iowa, a state Donald Trump won in the last 2 elections, has Kamala Harris in the lead. The poll was carried out by J.R. Seltzer, who explained the findings. She said a new poll suggests Kamala Harris is
According sa source, ang ay nag-mall. Nagpahinga sa mall. Nagpalamig. Dahil sa sobrang buke sa kaskas, uminit. Uminit ang lubot ni Anggi.
Among women aged 65 and older. And so there's obviously something going on there. Who you want to appeal to, because they're the most reliable voters. And Kamala Harris is doing very well with that group. And independents in Iowa do sort of...
Di umano, naghanap pala ng laruan na may kaskas.
Let's talk to our colleagues, Hannah Humphrey in North Carolina, Colorado, using Wisconsin votes for the state. How much is that
Pangkaskas.
Di umano, hinanap ang timo sa Dubai. Para bumili ng bagong laruan. Ay, naku. Angge, saan ka na, Angge? Mag5 oras, hindi ka papasok.
Sabi na bala kayo dyan. Maghanap siya ng tripod.
And one thing during normal times that most Wisconsinites
Maghanap ng tripod si Angge.
Naghanap ng face puzzle.
at the legendary Lambeau Field behind me. This is where all
Tsaka ng hiding black.
Packers fans, and by the way, Michigan
Ayon sa source,
fans are here for this game.
naghanap ng timo sa Dubai. Ayun pala, walang timo sa Dubai. Agay, ginoo ko.
It is still political here, even during a football game. I want to bring in a couple of guests. We have Audrey.
Ate Jane, hindi na bokya.
Packers fans, but I also know that you've been following the election closely. First of all, I'm just curious, have you noticed politics sort of seeping into pretty much every part of everyday life?
Huwag na magbakas, isang bakasan lang, number, bilis. Isang channel lang bakasan, lagyan ng number, wala na magbakas, sige, diretso na tayo, one more game. Dali, para hindi na kayo mabukya. Sige, isa pa. Kaya pa.
Kaya pa ba ng player?
Kaya pa ng player. Kaya pa.
And Lynn, we can see there on your hat not only a Green Bay Packers logo, but a Harris Wall Street button there. And Audrey,
Si Angge, hindi pa nanalo. Tangin si Angge.
Madison, what does the election look like for you among university students?
Yeah, it's definitely about getting out the student vote.
At wala si Angge.
How to
Fight.
register, if you're going to same-day register, knowing your polling
Oh,
location.
bilis.
There's pretty much
Bilis.
consensus among the students
Bakit
what
wala si Angge?
direction they're leaning, but
Naghanap ng
I would say it's definitely just trying to get
face
out the
black.
student vote.
We've seen plenty of visits, obviously, by both sides, actually, in this campaign to Madison. Now, one interesting thing, actually, we've seen some campaigning right here in Green Bay because this is the
Bilis, lapag number na lang.
could be an important part of this election. And
Ready.
Green Bay Packers was actually campaigning with Donald Trump.
Ready. Okay, ready, let's go.
Might have received that.
You know, I think that Packers fans are just people, they're good, solid people with good, strong values that believe in honesty and integrity, and Midwest nice, I think, too. So, you know, I'm not convinced that, like, everyone, all the Packers fans are going to be swayed by Brett Favre, and I know AJ Dillon was there. I mean, they lose points in my mind, honestly, but I think that, definitely, I think the further north you go, the more conservative it is. We're from the Milwaukee, Kenosha area, and Madison, so it's more towards Kamala. I don't know, it's toss up. I feel like definitely I've heard from some friends who have gone to vote and they have, we already voted by absentee ballot, but they've gone to vote and they said its lines are, a lot of women registering to vote for the first time. Very interesting, which I thought too, because I was kind of like, oh, I'm so nervous. Just the past couple days, I've heard things like that. A ton of people came to Kenosha yesterday from Illinois, Kansas.
Bakas na kayo, sobrang bilis niyan. 6 lang yan.
I don't know, I'm feeling a little more upbeat. I personally have voted both ways. I've never voted for Trump. I have been a Republican, but this is not my party, for sure. I'm a girl without a party now.
We have a couple of Harris supporters here at the Green Bay Packers game. Definitely Packers fans, and all of Wisconsin, obviously, united behind the football team here. We'll be, of course, across the state, and we'll be covering all of these swing states in the lead up to November 5th's Election Day.
Carl, thank you very much. Let's go to North Carolina, another swing state, of course. Helen Humphrey is waiting to talk to us. Helena, I mean, given that surprise poll that we heard about that went in Kamala Harris's favour, what do you think the mood in the Trump camp might be?
Well, of course, everyone is looking at this very closely, but people are always saying when it comes to polls that you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Polls are snapshots of sentiment in time. They're not necessarily predictions of how this race could go, but what it did show was that interesting trend with women over the age of 65, of course, and it's fair to say that there have been questions in the past few weeks about comments from Donald Trump when it comes to women, saying, for example, that they should be protected, suburban women should be protected whether they like it or not. Many women saying that that isn't what they're necessarily looking for from their presidential candidate. So I'm sure, of course, that the Trump campaign is looking at that very closely, but of course we are now seeing this mad dash really from the candidates, aren't we, in those final days. Donald Trump holding a rally here once again in North Carolina, in Kinston. Every day he's been holding a rally here, showing just how important this state is. 16 electoral college votes here are up for grabs. Talking about thinking past the deadline of voting day and all of this, of course everybody's asking us which way do you think it's going to go, when do you think we'll know the result, and if we look back to 2020, of course, it took a number of days. It could well be that case once again. I've been speaking to election board officials in this state, and they said that, of course, counting might take some time. There's been a heavy number of votes already, but they've also got devastation from Hurricane Belen, for example, in the west, and as such, they extended that deadline to make sure that everybody could get their postal ballots in. But what we have seen, speaking to people and also online, is this misinformation about the election. Donald Trump at a rally
What I news?
yesterday said
Bago mag-end, magandang gabi bayan. Ang balita. Di umano'y si Angge, tinapon ang Facebook. Agka nagkawatak-watak ang mukha ng Facebook dahil binigyan lang siya ng 2 views nito habang ito ay nagkaskas. Di umano, pumunta sa Dubai Mall at naghanap ng laruan para maikaskas. At sa ganon pa may hindi nakahanap ng laruan, nag-strike na lang sa bingo. Ang balita.
This sort of thing. Fortunately, here in Catawba County, things are not quite as heated as they are in other counties, and I think part of the reason for that is because this county is so conservative, it's really lopsided, so there's not a lot of tension about, who's going to win, because we pretty much know who's going to win in Catawba County.
Bingo 18! Yahoo! At dyan nag-i-end ang ating bingo.
Sino nalo?
Girly.
Oh, galing-galing. Bilis naman.
At yan ang ating dyan tayo nagtatapos sa bingo. Salamat sa inyong lahat at tayo mag-end na dahil 6 minutes na lang bago mag-end. Salamat sa bokya. Ang bokya ay Si Jack, si Myla, si Boss Aning,
Kaya ko din, bukya ako.
and Rose. Apat ang bukya. Congratulations sa apat na bukya. Congratulations girly, congratulations Ate Pressy, Ate Jane, hindi kayo nabukya ang dalawa. At congratulations and good night. Salamat.
Yeah, he's spoken for over an hour. Many thousands of people that were tuning from early morning here, who, as you can see now, streaming out as Mr. Trump concluded his remarks here. He talked a lot about his touchstone issues of the economy and immigration. Many of those messages we've heard before. But he spent a good 10 minutes or so at the beginning launching into a series of accusations about both the Democrats and the electoral voting system here in Pennsylvania specifically. He repeatedly called the Democrats cheats. He castigated the system by which there has been early voting in Pennsylvania. About 1.7 million votes
Lagyan ko pa si girly ng entry. Lagyan ko na siya. Si Matis, si Nina walang entry.
And effectively said that the entire system was corrupt. There were a series of accusations he made without any evidence of voter fraud. Now, what his critics say is that by making these baseless accusations, that they believe he is trying to lay the groundwork for a series of challenges.
Oh, ano ba yun, sweet? Sabi ko huwag ka umusog eh. Andyan yung kape.
Ilalagay mo naman kasi dyan sa mausugan.
Alam mo namang, di ba sinabi ko nga sa'yo, huwag may usog yung ano. Rosie, kuha kang tissue nga, dali, akin na yung tissue.
If that vote is within half a percentage point. And already the polls are suggesting it may well be around that or potentially even closer. So we have a likelihood here in Pennsylvania of days or even weeks possibly of recounts during which Mr. Trump seems to say, well, this is all about trying to create an atmosphere of suspicion among his voters when it comes to trust in the electoral system. And so his opponents fear that it might be a repeat of what happened back in 2020 in terms of not just trying to challenge the results in terms of the legal system, but trying to undermine the entire system itself. Now, much of the rest of the writing is on those familiar themes that I've already talked about, but already we're seeing here in Pennsylvania, I think because of the closeness of the polls here, the system itself coming into question.
Tom Bateman. Part of Spain, where the king has been pelted with mud and greeted with cries of murderer during a visit to a town hit by the country's worst flooding in generations. The Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, had to be escorted away from protesters by his security team. 217 people are unknown to have died. People in the Valencia region are angry at what they see as the slow government response to the tragedy. This evening there's another warning of severe rainfall. Our Europe correspondent Mark Lowen has more.
Hoy, Jane.